Alright, so we're going to start from scratch. We have nothing but raw data. As you can see, we have the raw data for the income statement, the balance sheet, the cash flow statement. And for some of you, you might be already familiar with these formats. The formats are very similar to Capital IQ. Of course, Phil and Talks is a hypothetical company, but we've tried to make the raw data as close to actual practice as possible, so it's literally the same format. Of course, the numbers are all made up. For the 10K as well, we've made it, the formats as close to actual practice as possible. This is exactly how it's going to look like when you open the notes part in your 10K. We have revenue breakdown of individual segments. We do have average selling price trends over our historical time periods. We also have GP margins by segment. This table, it isn't very usual to have gross profit margin data included in their annual reports, but we do assume that we have these data sets as well. We do have the breakdowns for SG&A costs, operating expenses. We also have data for labor cost, R&D, long-term debt, and so on. And as you can see, we do have the information for the employees as well. We have the numbers for total employees and employees by division. So there's the buying division, manufacturing division, sales, marketing, management, and so on. Lastly, there is one more additional sheet on, plant, property, and equipments. This one would be used in our financial modeling 301 course, where we will be building a much more complex PPE schedule. So let's come to the front and let's try to add and insert a new sheet. So as we've learned from Excel 101, the shortcuts would be Alt H and then IS for insert sheet. Of course, you can alternatively also use Shift F11. So first, what we're going to do is we're going to do the settings for the entire sheet. That way you can make your model much more efficient. And of course, it's going to look much more better and much more professional. So we're going to start from the font. So we're going to press Ctrl A and we're going to go to Alt H, format font. So FF. We're going to insert Calibri. So we're going to use this font. For those of you who are not using Microsoft Excel English version, you might have something else. So you might as well go ahead and type in Calibri and then press enter. For the font size, we're going to do 10. So Alt H font size would be for Alt H FS. We're going to insert 10 and press enter. Moving on, we want to get rid of the gray lines in the background. So we're going to cover up the entire sheet in the color white. So alternatively, you can always use you can uncheck the grid lines checkbox, but I usually recommend to students to color the entire sheet in white. That way you can avoid having problems, formatting problems when you send the Excel file to someone else, for example, your superiors or your clients. So Ctrl A, Alt HH to color your cells. You can just press enter. It's already selected in white. Press enter, and now we got rid of all the gray lines. Next up, we're going to format some basic numbers. So let's type 5 digits of just any number and press enter. For some of you who's not using Microsoft Excel's English version, you might have some decimal points. However, in the end, we want to format the cells that does not have any decimal points. So for those of you who has decimal points, Control A, Control All, and then let's press Alt H9. So if it's for example, if it looks like this, let's press Alt H9. And this way, you can get rid of all the decimal points. And then we're going to do another formatting. We're going to again press Control A. And we want to press Control Shift 1 at the same time. Control Shift 1. That changes our font format to numbers or to accounting for some countries. Again, we want to decrease decimal points, so Alt H9, Alt H9 would be the trick in case you have additional decimal points created. This way, wherever we type any type of number, now we have the consistent format for every single cell. One additional thing worth noting is that some people prefer to display negative numbers in a parentheses. Personally, I prefer just using the minus sign on the front, but if you want to use the parentheses as negative numbers, you could choose either one of these. If you want red for negative numbers, you can choose the last one. If you want just black ordinary color, but just the parentheses, you can choose the third option. But for now, I'm not going to change anything because personally I like the minus sign on the front. And next we're going to adjust the column width. So usually we leave column A in a very short and rectangular form. So we're gonna select just any cell from column A. We're gonna go to Alt H, O for format, and W for width. We want to choose 2, and that creates a rectangular format for column A. And usually this single column is just left blank, but as we have learned in our formatting session, we do place some navigators in between just for maneuvering purposes when we're just moving up and down. Next, for the other cells from column B to maybe column R, let's select the entire columns, around 15 columns over here. Alt H O W, and this is going to stay as 7.5. So we're going to keep it a little more compact than it used to be. For column S, we're going to use it for notes. Actually just 2 more rows. Actually, let's just select until column T. Let's go into Alt H O W again. Column T and S, those two should be also column with 7.5. And for column U, this is where we're gonna actually write notes. So notes about the financial model, notes about your analysis, your forecast. So this needs a little more space. So Alt H O W again, and we're gonna do maybe 30. So it gives you plenty of space for taking notes. And we're gonna do a little bit of beautifying. We want some of the areas to contain information about the model, information about your spreadsheet, insert some logos about the company, and some display panels for the circuit switch scenario, current scenario, the current target price, and so on. So what we're going to do we're going to select from here, and actually let's select these areas. And what we're going to do, we're going to color these areas. So press Alt HH. For information, you don't have to follow the exact same colors as I do. You can just choose whatever preferred color you want for this part. But I'm going to go with dark navy. And again, what we're going to do is, again, color from H4. We're leaving 2 rows, and then from the 3rd row, so from H4, we're going to color these rows into a slightly lighter blue color, so that it looks like this. And what we're going to do is we're going to write the company name, Phil and Talks, in columns D4. So we're going to write Phil and Talks. We're going to select these whole cells. Normally we try to avoid merging cells, but in this case we're going to do that just for beautifying purposes. So Alt H, merge, and merge cells. So Alt H MM. We're going to change the colors. Alt H font color. We're going to select white. We're going to select Control B for thickened fonts. And we're also going to increase the font size. So Alt H FS, we're going to select 20 for bigger font size. And below is going to be the part where we write the names for the sheets. We're going to leave it like this at the moment, but still Alt H font color, so we want the color white, and Control B for bold. Right? These areas, we're going to design a display panel for the circuit switch, which we're going to build in our last parts of our Financial Model 101 course. We're going to build a circuit switch. We also want to see the current scenario. So scenario analysis is dealt with in our Financial Modeling 301 class, but it's going to be quite important to see what scenario we're selecting at this moment. So we want to display it on the top. And lastly, our target price, which we're going to calculate in our Financial Modeling 201 class after calculating our enterprise value using discounted cash flow analysis. Control B, and we're just going to write NA for this moment. Actually, let's just align center. Alt H AC for align center. Right? And we're going to give the model some references. For example, as we've learned in our global formatting practices, for example, hard-coded numbers should be color-coded in the color blue. Reference cells should be color-coded in the color green, calculations in black, and so on. So let's select these areas And what we're gonna do is we're gonna color code, we're gonna recolor the cells in white. Let's write hard code calculation reference. We're going to use red colors for caution. We also want a legend for assumptions and for notes. Lastly, for notes. So Alt H font color. We already have the blue color codes ready for you at the bottom. For calculations, again, Alt H font color. Here we go. Oh, for reference, right? Oh, my mistakes. Alt H font color. Green for reference. Alt H font color. Red for caution. This one over here. Let's draw some lines. So we're gonna draw a single ordinary lines on the outside, and we are also going to create some dotted lines inside. So we're going to do those two types of formatting at once. So the efficient way would be to press Control 1. You want to go to border. We want to select the ordinary lines, select outline for the outside parts. We're going to choose a dotted line, and we're going to click the inside. If you press OK, it's going to look like this. It looks like this because these cells are not yet merged, so we're going to do that. But instead of just simply merging these cells, what we want to do is we want to go to Control 1, Alignment, press Tab, the down arrow key. We're going to choose Center Across Selection. So this visually it looks exactly the same as merging cells, but actually it's not merged. The words are still in cells 05, but it looks as if it's merged, but still works as independent cells, so it's functionally much more efficient. These cells, F4 to repeat what we did just before, so F4 for reference, F4, just simply pressing F4 after selecting two adjacent cells. For the assumption cells, we want different colors for the cell itself, so we're going to press Alt HH, and we're going to use a light yellow cell. Just in case, for notes, we're going to use a light orange cell color. This rarely comes up, but just in case, we're going to assign a format for the notes as well. Right? Some final touches to our sheet settings. We're going to draw a thick line on the bottom and on the top. We're going to go to borders. We're going to select this thick line. We're going to choose the same color that we have choose for the cell colors, dark navy. We're going to press OK. Whoops. It hasn't been selected, so again, we have to select the bottom line and the top line. And we'll press OK. And now it looks quite nice. And lastly, we are going to include the logo file in our course materials if you want. So we're going to copy the logo, or you want to go to insert. We're going to insert pictures and select the logo and place the logo on the top left part of your model. And now our beginning part of our model looks professional. It looks nice. It did take us about 20 minutes of time to do this, but once you have this, you can always use it for other models as well. You don't have to do this every time. You can just simply copy and paste this format and use it elsewhere. So I think it's totally worth doing this just this time once. Coming up, we have to build a timeline bar for our financial model. But before moving on, let's always not forget to save our files by pressing Ctrl S. And now let's proceed to our next part of the lecture.